Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Just Do Your Job. Some years back, at the start of my career, I worked in insurance. My team was new, and our boss, let's call her Alice, was very ambitious. She'd started as a team lead, managing a similar team to ours, and through spending most of her time networking, bootlicking, and making herself the center of important, high-visibility projects, she'd managed to score a promotion to manager and was given our team along with her old one. This was very unusual, since she should have gotten 2 team lead positions to run said teams. But that's how it worked out. She had already been disinclined to pay much attention to the actual work, even before her promotion. After, we barely ever saw her. Her ambitions hadn't stopped at her current achievements, so she was always busy trying to keep climbing the corporate ladder. So that the teams could actually run, she picked the 2 most ambitious people from each team and made them do her job, but no promotion or pay increase. I was that person from my team. For about a year, I trained my colleagues, handled payment authorizations through a roundabout way to circumvent company policy, which said I absolutely wasn't allowed to do that, handled disputes within the team, checked over and corrected other people's work, etc. Our company had a policy that once a year, we had a skip level 1-to-1 with our boss's boss. At that meeting, I brought up how unnatural our situation was. The senior manager replied that she hadn't known that I and the person from the other team were doing so much, and agreed that the structure should be reverted to how it's supposed to be. Indeed, a couple of weeks later, internal postings for the 2 team lead positions got posted on the company intranet. Fast forward a month or so, and Alice has gathered the teams to make an announcement. The person who had been doing the team lead job from the other team was being made into one officially. In our team, a girl we'll call Jane was getting it. Now, I wasn't the only one flabbergasted. Both teams were extremely confused, and several people even voiced that confusion. I didn't notice at the time, and only became aware during my eventual exit interview. But Alice had not liked that I had gone over her head, even if she'd benefited from it ultimately. So, in retaliation, she'd given the actual position I'd been doing up until that point to someone else. In a 1-to-1 meeting with her later, when I brought the subject up, she got angry and said, "Just do your job. Stop acting like you are important." Alice was too busy to ever do her actual job. She paid attention to none of it, including individual team performance. Jane had only been picked because she'd been part of Alice's old team originally, and was perceived as loyal to Alice. We'd needed someone to do the really boring data entry parts of the job, which nobody else wanted to do, and the other team had recommended her. I guess we should have been suspicious at that point, as to why they were so eager, but Alice had approved it. As it turned out, they'd wanted to get rid of her, because Jane was stupid. I'm not using that as an insult, but as a descriptor. She was genuinely very unintelligent, and struggled with anything beyond very basic data entry tasks. When she was made to do anything harder, she'd generally make a complete mess of it. And now she had to run an entire team, train people, approve payments, check other people's work, and so on. All while she struggled with anything more complicated than transferring numbers from one system to another. I honestly don't believe Alice was aware of how big of a blunder she had made here. She just picked someone she thought of as loyal. Of course, Jane tried to have me babysit every action she took, but I was having none of it. I was going to do my job, and nothing else, since I wasn't important. We all had contracts with detailed job descriptions, and in my country, you can't just fire people for no reason. And refusal to do work that is not in the job description is certainly not considered proper cause. I was just a regular employee. None of the management functions I'd been performing up till then were my actual job. The team crashed hard over the next 3 months. Complaints went from less than 5 a month to over 20 on average. A lot of incorrect payments were going out. A huge backlog of cases was piling up. Nobody else on the team wanted to help Jane, because they knew they'd just end up having to do her job for her for no benefit. The funniest thing was, Alice barely had an inkling there was a problem, beyond me being uncooperative, which she was pretty vindictive about, because she was busy advancing her career, and Jane didn't want to admit how hopelessly out of her depth she was. Things came to a head when the quarterly reports caused alarm bells to ring amongst the leadership team. An internal audit was organized, and a lot of the mistakes that had gone through and a whole bunch of leakage were uncovered. Alice had to go explain herself as to why our performance was suddenly so terrible. At this point, she'd finally realized she should have paid more attention to the situation, but unbeknownst to even her, it was too late. Everything from here on is hearsay. I learned it from a friend who was a team lead of a completely different team. Apparently, there had been talks about outsourcing teams to India. However, Alice's boss, the one who opened the team lead positions, had been staunchly against it, since it would diminish her fiefdom. The proponents of the outsourcing managed to use our team's horrible quarterly results to justify using the two teams under Alice as a pilot for the outsourcing program. Quite literally the next day, after I'd accepted a position in a different company and was planning on giving notice, we were gathered and informed our teams would be shuttered in 4 months, and that we'd be training our replacements in India during that period. I heard from colleagues who stayed till the end that Alice was not offered another position after her teams were made redundant. The last story is called Contact My Lawyer. So, this started some time back. I got fired from my job due to an injury and had to be hospitalized for a significant time. In my contract, it stated that if I had more than X amount of sick days in a 12-month period, I could get my contract terminated with 1 month's notice. So that happened. And of course, I contacted my union. They told me it was a legal termination, but they asked about a specific part of my contract, which was about my commission. Turns out I've missed out on some special commission during my employment. I totally missed it when I read my contract when I got employed. My union advised me to contact the boss, show him the part of my contract, and proof of the missing commission, and try to get a settlement. I was looking for around 3K. I went to see my boss and started with a nice chat. After about 10 minutes, I brought up the issue and showed him my contract, and showed him that I'd never gotten the commission stated in the contract. My boss told me straight up to contact his lawyers, that we were done talking, and told me to leave. So I went home, looked over every paycheck and set up a meeting with our lawyer. We found a lot of small mistakes on my paychecks and summed it all up. We sent an official letter to his lawyers and got an answer from them a few days later. He was willing to settle for the first amount, but I just smiled and laughed. No can do, Mr. Bossman. Not anymore. Now I want the full amount, which is equivalent to over 10K plus all the legal fees. And I have proof of everything to back up my claim. It went to court, and guess what? He lost big time. I've now planned a nice vacation and still have more money than I asked for in the first place. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.